Oh yeah. Gia. Good?
Right.
Looking beautiful. All right. See it? See it?
Yep. So then you turn it on.
Ready?
Ready?
4, 3, 2.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 5th episode of Dana Being Dana. I am your host, Dana Michelle, and I first just want to thank everybody so much. This is my 5th show, and I'm super excited about it because I'm having so much fun, and it's because of everybody out there. I wasn't sure how this would go when I started this project. I wasn't sure if it was just going to be me talking to my mama and my kids, but I am so grateful that so many more of you have tuned in. And I just appreciate all the feedback that everybody has given me. It's great. So I'm really enjoying myself, and thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to have a fantastic show this evening. So without further ado, I want to just introduce my panel. I would like for you guys to just say who you are. Please tell us where you went to college and law school. You can talk about our connection as well and the type of law that you practice.
I suppose I go first.
Yes, you do
Okay,
tonight.
So my name is Janai Gibbons Bailey, and I am the Director of Diversity and Inclusion at the law firm of DLA Piper. I am actually on my 3rd career. I am officially a recovering attorney. The rest of our guests are all still practicing law. But I actually only practiced for about 3 short years, and 10 years ago I transitioned into doing diversity work, which I absolutely love. I truly have my dream job today. I went to law school at William Mitchell College of Law in the warm and sunny state of Minnesota, and I have lived in almost every major city in the country. I joined DLA Piper 9.5 years ago. I met Dana when I joined the firm. I was actually based in our Los Angeles office at the time.
That's right.
Yeah.
We started on the phone.
That's right, that's right. And I knew there was something special about you after that first conversation. And we have been fast friends ever since. So
You are so good at what you do when it comes to diversity and just connecting with people. And so it made perfect sense for you to be on this show. So I'm so glad you're here.
I am delighted. Thank you. And I'm so proud of you, Dana.
Thank
so,
you.
So proud of you.
Thank you. We're going to have some fun today, y'all.
Yay.
I'm next.
Leslie.
So I'm Leslie Davis, and I am a partner at Riley Safer Homes in Kinsella. I've been there a year. It's a brand new firm. And I'm a trial lawyer. I do defense work. And
Does that mean you do criminal?
no, I don't.
Can you help my cousin?
No, I cannot help Pookie. I wouldn't do that. But if you're a Fortune 500 company, I'd be happy to help you.
All right, fantastic.
I went to Iowa, the University of Iowa. I am a double Hawkeye because I went there
Double Hawkeye.
for both
Watch out.
undergraduate and law school, and have my master's degree in journalism and mass communication.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I actually started my first job in television during the O.J. Simpson trial.
Oh, wow.
So this is familiar to me. Dana was stalking me. That's actually how I met Dana.
That's how Deltas do.
Yeah, shout out to my
Yes,
sorors
yes,
and
yes,
Delta
yes,
Sigma Theta.
yes,
All
yes.
right. So, no, really, I met Dana through a mutual friend who told us we should connect, Peter Ellis.
Yes.
And we did, and from there we just continued to have a friendship that I value.
Yes.
And we have done the CCWC tour
Yes.
several times. And I'm going to miss her being my roommate this year, because I look forward to going to conferences because we get to hang out and have so much fun.
Leslie lets me crash with her, and we turn up, and we're both parents, and so it's a great opportunity for us when we go to conferences to personally detach a little bit and network and get our professionalism on. So I've just enjoyed the mentor and the friend that Leslie is, and I'm excited for this conference. We are headed down to New Orleans next week.
Yes.
Hey!
Yes.
And so we're going to have a blast. And so we're going to talk more about the conferences that we go to, the movie that is related to our situations as well, and we'll go from there. But before we do that, we've got to talk to Lakeisha and Cornelia. So, Lakeisha?
I'm Lakeisha Marsh. I am a partner at Ackerman. My practice is primarily higher education and collegiate athletics. I am a graduate of Clark Atlanta University, AUC. Yes. And I went to law school at Loyola University, Chicago. I met Dana actually at a conference.
At the conference.
Yes.
At the conference 2 years ago.
Yes, at the conference. And then we realized how much of a connection is all of the people that we knew.
There's so many people in
Because
conference.
we actually, when we were
Went
at
to school
AUC
together.
at the
We were
same
at the same
time,
time.
and then UC at the same time. So I'm sure I probably walked past you.
It was like-
we were probably on the promenade. We were probably on the promenade together at some point. So, but that's me. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
I
I'm so glad you guys are all here.
So you say the best for last, I'm assuming?
You went and saved the best
Thank you.
for last.
My name is Cornelia Roberson. I am at DLA Piper. My practice is IP. I'm a trial lawyer as well. I went to Illinois Tech in Chicago for undergrad and Northwestern for law school. I met Dana about 7.5, 8 years ago now.
Yeah.
We were on a board together.
That's
Chicago Committee of Minorities and Large Law Firms is a group to help diverse lawyers. And we clicked, became good friends.
Yes,
She
indeed.
became a good drinking buddy,
Yeah.
hanging out buddy, girlfriend. And we've been friends and as such ever since.
Yep. I'm so excited that we're about to take this trip. Girls Trip. Girls Trip. It was the #1 comedy so far in 2007. And it was the first comedy this year to gross over $100 million at the domestic box office. Currently, Girls Trip has brought in over $130 million. And I am so excited. The movie is hilarious. If you haven't seen it, then you know nothing about the grapefruit. And you can't relate. Among other jokes. But it will enhance your life, so I think you should go see it and learn all about the grapefruit. I'm not going to ask that question. So, Tracy Oliver, one thing that I'm very proud of, in addition to it being such a stellar movie, in addition to it being so super funny, there's so many messages in the movie. And before we get into those, a couple of facts. Tracy Oliver was the first African-American female screenwriter to gross over $100 million at the box office. She wrote the movie with Kenya Barris, who is the writer of Blackish and the creator of Blackish, which is on TV now. And he attended Clark Atlanta University.
Yes,
So there's a lot of pride there for AUC, specifically Clark Atlanta University. And so the reason why I came up with this show idea was that we're about to go to a conference for female attorneys of color, specifically targeted to female attorneys of color. And I wanted to, the movie as well, I wanted to just kind of talk about who we are and what we do. An interesting fact, I work for a global company and I do deals all over the world. And I was on a phone call recently where one of my colleagues in London, across the pond, was telling me that he was so surprised. He read some article about there being such a dearth of Black women lawyers. So he felt special that he knew me and that he talked to me because he felt like the percentages were so abysmal. Before we get into diversity and the diversity numbers and all that stuff, I do want to talk about the movie, but it made me think about, that's so foreign to me because y'all are my world. Like when I think about my legal circle, when I think about my friends, when I think about my profession, I feel so fortunate that I have you all in my life as not only my friends, but my colleagues, my confidants. We talk about so many different things, both personally and professionally. So this show idea came very easily to me, particularly because we're about to go to New Orleans and turn up. But I wanted to just first get your impressions of the movie. So what did you think? What was your favorite part about the movie?
So I'll jump in first and just say I absolutely loved it, and I don't know that I had a favorite part, but overall, the thing I loved the most about the movie was that it's not often that you see Black women together that aren't trying to save the world, they aren't pioneers, they aren't, making it happen against all odds. And this was just a group of women who were out together having fun, and there was nothing too serious about it. They weren't trying to change the world. They were just together. They were super smart, very accomplished. They had each other. They were out to have a good time over a weekend. And it was just so refreshing just to see that levity and that connection. So that's what I loved about the movie.
I would agree. I like that about the movie, but I also like the fact that they were so complex. It seems to me that oftentimes when you see Black women portrayed, it's either they're angry or they are trying to save the world. They had a lot of things going well for them, a lot of great things happening, but they had a lot of complexity to their life, which really is the life of a professional Black woman. It is very complex, and not everything is bad, and not everything is good. It's just a lot. It's a lot of things happening. And so that's what I found to be good about it, in the sense that it felt familiar.
Right.
Because there were so many things happening. And it was funny. So it was a great way to just be entertained, but also feel like you could connect to people who you kind of know some of those kinds of people. And maybe you saw, as I did, myself in some of what was happening with them.
I think I would agree with that, and then also add that I really enjoyed watching them go back to how we were when we were in college. There are so many things that I can remember about being at CAU with my girlfriends who are still girlfriends now, that on a day-to-day basis, I don't do those things. And it was great to actually see that. And I love doing it. I love getting together, forgetting my day-to-day, and just remembering the days and the things that we did when we were college students. Being around people that really aren't going to see us again, so no one can tell what we've done. But I was like, being able to just, even if it's just that weekend, that moment in time, kind of take you back to when you were actually on a college campus, and when you didn't really have a caring world, at least didn't have the cares that we have right now, just to be free and to have fun with your girlfriends. I really, really appreciate that.
Did any of you want to be Claire Huxtable growing up? Did you think you'd be Claire Huxtable?
I don't think I ever wanted to be Claire Huxtable. I like that she was educated and she was smart. I actually got the different sense of I didn't want all the kids and the husband. Even though it was beautiful and I thought it was great, and growing up with a big family, but I wanted to be the woman in the tight short skirt that was career woman, and I didn't want to be super Claire. Although I think that's a great image, and I think I had a mother like that, but that's not. And people are always shocked that you don't want to have kids and husband. That really wasn't what I envisioned for myself, and actually I don't live my life like that now, and so I'm kind of happy with it. But so no, I don't want to be Claire.
I do like the fact I wanted to be Claire Huxtable, and I'm like 3 kids short and a husband. But
It's not too late though.
it's not too late for me. But I liked the aspect of you've got successful Black women, and it's not all about sexuality. It's not all about angry. They're out there doing their thing, and we'll talk more about some of the themes within the movie. Is there a character that you most identified with? Did you see yourself? Who did you see yourself in?
At least for me, I don't know that there was one particular character. I think each of them had some of me. I saw a bit of me in all of them.
I think so too.
From the risk averse, the nurse, when she,
Lisa,
very sort of even keel, all the rules, and she didn't really step out much often until she got down the road. I think that was a part of me. The sort of fun and enjoying part, Dina, who was definitely on top of it crazy. So it was sort of bits and pieces. I don't think that there was sort of one particular one for me.
I would agree with that. We were talking about this earlier, and we were just like, well, it kind of depends on the day and what's going on. I could be a little bit of each one of them, right? But if I had to choose just one character, I would say probably Lisa, which is kind of weird, because I never really I didn't used to think of myself as being that conservative and that risk averse, and I've kind of become that
You're
way.
kind of Lisa.
Yeah, I know, right?
You're kind of Lisa.
When that happened.
With the flair, though.
With
Janai,
the flair.
with the flair.
Okay.
Lisa with the flair.
Yeah.
Lisa like before, not the scrubs.
Yeah.
The cute black dress Lisa.
That's
Yes.
right, the lace, Lisa.
Lisa. Anybody else?
Well, I guess I saw myself as bits and pieces of each one of them as well, depending on the day. But maybe Ryan in some respects. Glad to not have a husband like Ryan's. You know, I have a great husband. But the thing I liked about Ryan was that she was persevering, and she was pushing, and she was trying to have it all. And so I don't shy away from trying to have it all. I don't know that I succeed at that all the time, but although I didn't want to be Claire Huxtable, I did want the husband and the kids, and I have that, and they are the joy of my life. And so I identify with her wanting to, you know, continue to have the life that she envisioned for herself. And so as, you know, things go, monkey wrenches happen. But I saw myself in her, in the pursuit.
We're going to talk more about Ryan. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to talk about Ryan and her character and whether or not you can really have it all. This is Dana Being Dana, Dana Michelle, on intellectualradio.com and iHeart radio station. We'll be right back. All right, I'm getting feedback that they can't hear us in the mics. Can we do a quick mic check?
Mike's so far, we can't take Mike when we're live. Those if they can't hear us, go to the website. Just try to get Facebook Live or something.
Okay.
Make
Just make sure you're talking loud and
Mike's
talking
all the
to
way
your
up.
mic. You know how to rock the mic.
You know what? Man, check to make sure your mic's all the way up on the phone.
My volume on my phone.
Okay. As my people would say, not today, devil. How about 26?
The volume's all the way up.
Okay.
Yes!
If they can't hear, they go.
Can you hear
They
me?
Wow,
can't
there's a serious delay on this.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
I'm still sitting down.
Like, seriously, it's doing a 10 seconds.
It is a day.
Thank you.
Only because your foot's broke.
Right.
Good job, everyone. Good job.
Somebody just said, I hear you fine now. I know that isn't good. Oh, no, we're on our break.
Tell her, Dana. Tell her what.
What?
Yeah, somebody says, I can hear you fine now. I'm not sure if there's, can they hear us when we're on
Yeah.
break?
We're live. We're still live.
Oh, we are.
So don't say no bad words. Intellectual Radio, the show, the recorded show that will go on our radio. We are live on Facebook Live.
So they see me blowing up?
They see you blowing your nose. If you cannot hear us on Facebook Live, go to intellectualradio.com and you should be able to hear a better volume. All right, you ready? We're coming back. They see everything. They see everything.
Well,
All right, ready?
Here we go. 5,
Coming
4,
back.
3, 2.
We are back on Dana Being Dana, Girls Trip, the 5th show. Hey, y'all. Hey. We are talking about our upcoming trip to New Orleans. We are going for a lawyers conference, which we are super excited about. And we are reflecting initially on the movie Girls Trip. #1 comedy thus far, 130 million at the domestic box office. And we were talking about the character Ryan, who is a relationship expert. She wrote a book called You Can Have It All. And she has apparent success in both her career and her personal life. Obviously, spoiler alert, there are things that unfold for her that shows that perhaps she doesn't necessarily have it all. The other ladies in the show were a doctor, a nurse, a journalist, and then there was Dina. We don't know what Dina did. All we know is that Dina got fired from whatever she did. Do you really believe that you can have it all? Do you have it all?
I think it depends on how you define all. I think that's one. I think even that will change over the course of your life. What you thought was all in your 20s changes from in your 30s, your 40s as well. So I think, again, it depends on what you consider as having it all. And I know I'm going to say this, and then I'll probably get cut and talked about afterwards. For me, having it all, as I said, it wasn't about having kids and a husband, and I think that's great, and maybe that'll come one day, but that wasn't the picture for me. Career was always important to me, family, life experiences, doing things that I want to do, being able to do whatever I wanted to do, whenever I wanted to actually do them was kind of a part of my package as far as having it all, being able to also help my family. And so for me, I worked very hard at sort of career, engineering school. I went to law school, worked hard. I came out. I was at a great firm, great experience. I'm a partner there. So those were all things that were important to me. And so if someone asks me, I love my life. I have the greatest job. I love my job. Even though I work hard, I work a lot. But I've been able to sort of mix in my work with my life, so it doesn't feel like work. I can work at 8, but then I may have a drink or not. You know, it's a part of what you consider to actually be all. I'm able to be there for my family. I don't miss out on sort of important events. There are times whenever work calls and I just have to say no, but then there are times when I'm out. I can do what I want to do. I can travel. So for me, having it all, I think that, yeah, there's still more that I want to do, and that's sort of, you know, I'm striving for. But if you ask me, am I extremely happy? Absolutely. I enjoy my life from a personal standpoint as well. Again, I know you have friends of mine, folks who, my husband's here, I'm going to find that husband, and that's great for some people. And one day that may come, but that's not necessarily my sort of having it all picture. So, at least for me.
I think for me too, having it all is where I'm at in the moment. Similar to what you said, it's different stages and different phases of my life. Right now, I think I am about achieving, you know, the most that I can and having it all where I'm at in my life. And for right now, I'm good with where I'm at right now. There are things that, yes, definitely that I want, and that's how I know that I am now progressing or moving to another phase.
Right.
And then my goal is to accomplish all of that. But when I think back to how I used to be, I was always I had a, you know, deadline. I knew what I wanted to do. I had a plan, and then when the plan didn't happen, I was devastated. So in my 20s, I had to learn, like, you can have it planned, be okay if it doesn't work out. Like, your life doesn't end if the plan did not, you didn't reach the plan or the goals that you set for yourself. So I think I've learned to realize that, first and foremost, I am truly blessed. There are so many people that would want to be where I'm at right now, and I am appreciative of that. And so I take having it all as meaning, yes, I have it all where I'm at. Where God has me right now, I'm good with that. And when it's time for me to go to the next step, He will take me there.
Anybody else?
I would just echo those sentiments as well, and I do believe that you can have it all. I don't know that you can have it all at the same time, which is, I think, similar to what the other two have just said. And then sort of defining what it is that, you know, what is it for you, and how do you define that? You know, Phililia was mentioning, you know, just loving her career, and again, I echo that same sentiment. I feel like I have my dream job today. Is everything perfect in my life? No, but that's okay. Like, I'm really happy with what I do. I get a lot of satisfaction from my work. I have an amazing family. My extended family is fantastic. They're spread out all over the world. I have the great fortune of being able to travel and to see them. I have amazing friends, and so for me, it's kind of about how I feel in my life, as opposed to the things that I have in that life. So,
Did you always want to be a lawyer? What did you want to be when you were little?
I didn't. I didn't. I had a cousin
Who wanted to be Whitney Houston?
That would be me. That would be me.
I knew it.
Right.
I knew it.
That would be the truth if I was going to tell the truth.
Seriously?
Yes.
Wow.
And I'm
That's
living
great.
vicariously through my daughter now, who is a wonderful singer. And literally, if I could stop doing what I currently do, I'd be a momager. I would be running around booking shows for her. But yes, that was my first thought, that I would be some kind of entertainer, though I was not blessed with the voice to do so.
Well, another theme in the movie was about having the courage to take risks. And Sasha, who was played by Queen Latifah, took some very strong professional risks in her career. Some worked in her favor, some did not. Lisa, who was played by Jada Pinkett Smith, took some personal risks in her life, which I think turned out well for her and exposed her to different things. Let's talk about some of the things that you've done outside of your profession. I think one of the beautiful things about being an attorney is that it can be such a strong springboard to doing so many other things in your life. And for me, I'm doing Dana being Dana. But I love the fact, I've been out of law school now for over 10 years, and I love seeing my friends from law school who have been tuning in and watching and following, and I appreciate you all, doing so many different cool and awesome things. I love the people who I went to college with, who have shown great support for what I'm doing now, doing so many great, cool, and awesome and different things. And I love the fact that you can take your law degree and you can become president. Let's not go there. Yeah. But you can do so many different things with a law degree. And I want to just talk about some of your personal interests and things that you do outside of your legal day job.
So,
Momager.
Exactly. Not yet. One of the things I love about the practice of law and doing it at a firm now that I truly feel allows me to fly and do the things that I like to do is that you have the opportunity to do things within the legal profession and then outside of it. So besides being a lawyer, I have been able to be a part of boards, and at my former firm, we started a school, and I have been intricately involved in that school on the west side of the city and helping scholars to develop themselves and to become our next leaders. You know, even within the law space, you get to do radio, you get to help people, indigent people, you get to do a lot of different things. And that's what I really like about the practice. Outside of the practice, I like to event plan. That goes along with when you say, do you have it all? So the reason why I was quiet is because I really am trying to have it all. Like, not at separate times, all the time, every day. Right now. I'm trying to have it all the time. Anybody who knows me knows that is absolutely true.
Yeah.
And I'm going to die trying to have it all the time. And so one of the things I like about event planning, while I don't do it formally and nobody pays me to do it just yet, but it's that I'm great at it because I like having people have experiences. I like helping people plan experiences that they're never going to forget and that's going to carry them through the rest of their lives. Because when we are done, when you say ashes to ashes and dust to dust, all you will have is the experiences. You won't remember anything somebody bought for you or any of those kinds of things. It'll be the memories that you share. So I like creating memories. And that's what I would do from now to forever. I mean, I love practicing law and I love the firm I'm at now and I enjoy it. But the job I would do for free is event planning because I love helping people.
I think that's absolutely right. And you and I are such kindred spirits because I tell my kids all the time, that's why I don't buy you toys so much, because I'm creating memories. But it's a truth that having those experiences, because you don't remember a lot of the more tangible things, but it's about the memories that you create, which I think is great.
I think for me, my passion is sports, education, and dance. And so everything that I do in my life, I want to make sure that I'm honing into my passions. So outside of being a lawyer, I had a business, a very successful business for about 6.5 years. We had one of the largest adult recreational sports leagues, so CBO Sports, and we played your flag football every Sunday from Dunbar to Taylor Park. We were there, and I grew a business from nothing. I took a passion, something that I enjoyed doing, which was playing, and I turned it into a business. And a successful business. But what I realized with doing that is it was a passion. It was no longer as fun when it became my business. Although really, it did great, but I was not enjoying it as much as I did when I was just out there every Sunday playing. But it was something that I could say, have owned a business and successful. Like we were always operated in the black, which is not, and we started, it was 6 of us. I was 5 men and I was the only female. And it was, exactly, it was just that. And we won't even talk about the personalities and doing that. But it was great. It was great to see something in the city of Chicago just grow. We went from playing in one league to, and I always joke because people ask, why did you start it? I started because the league that I played in, I asked one day, where are the flags? He was like, they were stolen. And I'm like, so did you not replace them? And he was like, go find the person that stole. I was like, I got you one better. I'm gonna start a league. And
We'll get our own flag.
That's exactly, literally, we started a league and shut him down. And we grew from starting with just 12 teams to by the time it ended, we had hit 43 teams in one league. So we grew that so much. I got to a point to where it was more work than it was enjoyable. So I decided to step back. When I did that, so did my partner step back. But I kept it going because I saw a vision in another female that wanted to do the same thing and take it to the next level. So then I said, fine, I'll invest in you. So I invested in her dream. So I'm still living my passion just through someone else.
And can I just say it was a great league. I played this player. I actually had this broken finger from that flag football league. It's great to know it was the sister behind that.
Yes.
Amazing.
Which is great. And I will say, when it comes to inspiration, this is what Leslie had mentioned as well, but hearing Lakeisha talk about her business, and I was like, wow, like, let me get this straight. We're at this conference for women and talking about legal stuff and our professionalism and all that, and you have this whole business thing on the side? Like, that's fantastic. And it's one of the things that inspired me to do what I do with this show. And I'm having a great time doing it. I think what's been very moving to me is people using the word inspiration and talking about being inspired. And inspiration inspires other people to do other things. And so I've appreciated everybody who has been not only supporting the show, but been inspired. Whether it's to do something that they're passionate about, whether it's taking action. The purpose of Dana Being Dana, and I'll say this a million times, the purpose of the show is about celebrating the human connection and inspiring people to live your best life. Last week's show got a ton of feedback on toxic relationships, and I think if it galvanizes you to make moves in your life, to bring out the best in you, to bring out the best in your world, to stop waiting, to take a chance, to take a risk, to jump out there and to do stuff, that's all the better. And so, Keisha, I don't even think you know how much you inspired me with your story and just doing your thing. But all of you guys inspired me in different ways, which is why y'all my friends. But it's so important, and that's one of the things that I love about us working together. We're going to talk about the sisterhood, especially across Pan-Hellenic lines. But before we do that, I do want to talk about the diversity numbers, because when my colleague across the pond told me that it was such an amazing thing to be talking to me, and there's so few black women lawyers over there, so it's amazing to be speaking to me and having me do deals. I get it, right? Because there aren't a lot of us in our profession. You know, we represent firms that have several majority people, not Leslie anymore, because her firms are but we are outnumbered in every room, on every deal, in every situation, in our professional lives. And we can talk about what that means to us personally too. But before we do that, let's talk about some of the diversity numbers. So
we want to get to the depressing part of the program, right? Okay.
Get a drink and a Kleenex. Take a break.
I will try to keep it brief, but this is a little bit of a downer. But I guess there's sort of bad news and good news, right? So I think that and before I get to the bad news, I want to provide some context, and that is that the legal industry is the least diverse profession out there statistically, across all measures. So that's women, people of color, women of color, LGBTQ, any dimension of diversity, the legal profession.
The least diverse.
The least diverse profession.
So McDonald's has more diversity than we do. Walgreens.
Yeah. So we have
the check cash in place has more diversity.
Yeah, we have nowhere to go but up. So and you know, I think that we are making progress, but it is at a snail's pace. But I am an eternal optimist, and so for me, the glass is always half full, no matter how empty it may appear. And I do think that progress is, maybe in terms of the numbers, we're not seeing as much progress as we would like to see. Certainly not as much progress as I thought we would have seen by now, given I've been doing this work for 10 years. However, I think that the culture is starting to change, and women of color are more empowered than ever before, and we do have a voice. We are some of us are still finding our voices, but we do have a voice, and we now know that we're not alone. I think, there's an expression that a lot of diversity and inclusion professionals used to use, and that was the lonely only, because that was in reference to the only Black women lawyer or the only Latina or whatever that dimension was and is. We don't use that expression so much anymore because there are fewer instances of that. That said, I will be honest and talk about the numbers which are not great. So just sort of starting kind of broadly, I want to talk about the attrition rates, because I think that the attrition rates are one of the reasons that we have so few Black women partners and Black women associates. So these are some industry-wide statistics. 85% of women of color leave large law firms within the first 5 to 7 years of practice.
Can you repeat that, please?
85% of women of color leave large law firms within the first 5 to 7 years of practice.
You say that in Spanish. That's true. So I went in-house after 4 years.
Yeah. For Black women lawyers, it's almost 100% by the 8th year. And that is the exact reason why we have so few Black women partners in large law firms. So just astounding numbers. I mean, it's kind of insane when you think about it. So today, women of color partners represent approximately 2% of all partners in this country. Black women partners represent less than 1% of the partnership.
Less than, and that's probably the article that my colleague read. So this room right here is packed with Black partners. We are packed with Black female partners.
The ceiling right now. Women of color associates represent about 13% of all associates in the country. Black women associates less than 3%. So it's like 2.98%. So again, staggering numbers. I started out by saying, though, that I think that there is some good news as well. The good news is focused on the culture, and I think more initiatives, more programs, and a greater commitment to turn these numbers around,
right.
And to accelerate the rate of progress. And a lot of these initiatives are focused on changing the culture. And providing more opportunities. And I just want to can I provide a couple of quick shout outs?
As you should.
All right, so the first shout out goes to Tiffany Harper and Chastity Boyce, who are doing some amazing work with the Diversity Attorney Pipeline Program,
yep.
or DAP for short. I had the pleasure of visiting with Tiffany just last night at another event.
I was there.
Yes. And they're doing some groundbreaking work around ensuring that women of color are successful in their first year of practice, or excuse me, first year of law school rather. That is a critical time. And when you look at the pipeline of women of color, for any lawyer in fact, when you look at this issue of attrition and you analyze it as a pipeline, there are a couple of key places where you see leaks in the pipeline. One of those early places is in that first year of law school.
The critical first year of law school. And for people who are watching, there's a lot of things. I think there's a lot of people who are thinking about law school. Everybody wants to be a lawyer. Whenever you get a traffic ticket or any type of small claims court issue or a dispute with your landlord, you become a lawyer. And that first year of law school, for all of you aspiring attorneys out there, is the most critical. It's what makes or breaks the rest of your experience. It is what opens you up to other opportunities and job prospects. Unlike college, where you can turn up and kick it for 2 or 3 years and then declare your major and become serious. Yeah. It's all about that first year when it comes to law school.
Absolutely. It is truly the make or break year. So they're doing some amazing work there in ensuring success that first year, helping women of color identify mentoring opportunities and internship opportunities and getting their foot, helping them get their foot into the door. Another relatively new programmatic initiative is something called the Mansfield Rule. This is a national initiative that's focused on, initially it was focused just on women, and now it's all diverse lawyers, but ensuring that there's greater diversity in both the hire and promotion rate of diverse partners, as well as lawyers in leadership roles, so greater diversity in leadership roles. And for those of us who are in law firms and are familiar with the law firm environment, even legal departments, we all know that having diversity at the leadership level is so critical to the success of retaining other diverse lawyers as well, including women of color and African American women. So my firm, for instance, is one of about 40 firms that have signed on to the Mansfield Rule to help advance this initiative nationally. I will also say, though, that some of the good news also lies with us as individuals. I've been talking about programmatic things. I think to help us accelerate the rate of progress, we have to look within and decide how we're going to manage this and what we as individuals are going to do. And I say we, I mean the collectively, like all lawyers, not just women of color, not just Black women lawyers, but all lawyers. For women of color and for Black women in particular, I'd love to just offer a few words of advice, and this is based on my experience as a diversity and inclusion professional, and looking at the most successful women partners, Black women partners that I see in the industry right now, including these 3 women here. And I think there's some themes that are consistent with the most successful Black women partners. They include things like mindset.
Jesus.
Well,
That's Jesus. And mindset. That comes along with it. You know, having that like I'm going to make this happen, no matter what the odds are that are against me, no matter what those statistics are that Janai just rattled off. I don't care. Like, I am going to do this because I want to do it, because I can do it, because I'm smart enough. All of those things, right? I think grit, which is closely related to mindset as well. Staying in the game, don't give up. Even on the hardest, worst days, do not give up. You can come to my office, you can go to Lilia's office, you can go to somebody else's office and cry, but do not disengage, right? Change the narrative, maybe course correct, go in-house, do something, but do not give up,
yeah.
right?
And that's one of the times that when we met, you know, I was going through a tough time. I had kids, I had a lot of other things going on, and Janai was so special to me because she encouraged me. And I think that's one of the things that just bonded us, and we just laugh a lot together. And what I love about my job is the sisterhood and the camaraderie.
Yes.
I've got great colleagues that I work with, a great company, but it's also the sisterhood.
Yes.
Chicago is deep at every conference that I go to.
Yes.
And people are like, the Chicago people always just hang together. I'm like, well, you can hang with us because we have a good time.
Yeah.
And it's not just women, it's men too. This conference that we're going to next week is particularly geared towards women. But I want to talk about the sisterhood. And I laugh and joke because the middle 2 are Deltons.
Yes.
Right.
Seriously,
We have a marvelous sisterhood.
Yes.
Right. None great.
Anyway, none. Can we go to commercial? Just kidding. But despite all of those things that would statistically divide us, right? There can be pettiness and cattiness. And it's so funny because you see it in other professions. You see it in other jobs. But I think sometimes it can be lonely. Not saying that we're at the top, but it can be lonely in our profession. It's largely male. It's largely white. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, it brings us together. And there's such a sisterhood that we share. So if you guys want to talk about, you know, your reflection, because I am so appreciative of it. I can always pick up the phone, and we always dive into the professional, the personal. You know, whenever I've had any type of career-minded changes, you guys are the people that I've talked to. You guys are the people that I've confided in.
And it all happens in about 3 minutes.
In
right?
about, it's a text message
We pick
like,
up where we left off. And it
what are you
happens-
doing?
That's right.
Like, can you talk?
That's right.
So, any thoughts or reflections on the sisterhood amongst all of us at work?
I have a reflection about that, but I wanted to say one thing about the numbers from a different perspective. I'm feeling a little bit like the old maid of the group because I've been doing this 20 years. And I was at a large law firm for 16 years. And so my percentage doesn't exist, right? Because
Right.
people leave. And I have thought many times about why I didn't leave. And it was many of the things that you said, but I think there's an important component that we overlook. And it is the role that other people play, not our fellow black women lawyers or anybody else who's minority. But one of the things that I think you have to have in order to be successful in those environments is a champion that does not look like yourself.
Yes.
And if you don't have that and you don't realize that early on, then you can't be successful because the whole environment is geared toward you not being successful. And I don't think necessarily that it's purposeful in terms of, I don't think that people are sitting behind closed doors trying to figure out how to keep you down. It's just that you don't know what you don't know. And so, for example, I'm at Riley Safer Homes and Consilla now, and one of the reasons why I joined them, and we're a mid-sized firm, not a large law firm, but I joined them because the whole philosophy behind that was we recognize that a diverse group, a diverse law firm is better and can serve client needs better. And so, for example, just this week, me as a new partner at that firm needed the help of two of my other partners who are white males. They stopped everything, flew in. One of them was flying back to literally help me land some business that was important to me. And until we have other people recognizing that they can be a real help to us, not that we have to rely on them, because we should be able to rely on each other to a certain extent. But we can't do this alone.
Exactly.
People have tried, those percentages are people who have tried
Right.
to do it alone.
Right.
It is what it is. I tell my kids all the time, I didn't make it that way, but that is the way that it is.
I think it's critical in what you said about having to have people on your team who look nothing like you.
Yeah.
We need men, we need people of majority, other people of color, and it's always an encouragement. And I have a show coming soon. In December, we've got a show on mentoring, and that's one of the points that I think is so important, is connecting and having sponsors, mentors, and champions are people who don't necessarily look like you.
I call it my board of trustees. I have a Lakeisha Marsh board of trustees, which consists of both sponsors and mentors, people that throughout my life I actually can go to, and they all do not look like me, and they're not all female,
Right.
they're not all male, but those are individuals that I know that when I am not in the room, they're speaking me up, they're speaking on my behalf. I can honestly say that I am where I'm at because of a sponsor.
So what's the difference between a sponsor and a mentor?
A sponsor is someone that is, when you're not present, they're cheering you on. They're putting you in the position. They're calling your name. They're bringing you. They're making others aware of you. A mentor is someone that I consider to what I need. I need some help. I need some advice. They may not be in the room, but they're going to help me and guide me to deal with the problem or the issue that I might be facing.
Yeah.
Sponsors have juice.
The sponsors have
They have
They got the pull.
It can make them an offer that they can't refuse.
Exactly.
And that makes the difference
They've got the
because
political capital, they've got the social capital,
Yes.
and they are willing to use it on
For
your
you.
behalf.
Yes.
Yes.
you see how Lisa just cleaned that up for us and made it real
Right,
professional.
right. Yeah, Lisa did that. Got the
Lisa from
juice.
Girls Trip.
They get it done. They get it
And
done
then
on your behalf.
for you.
They definitely get the job done. And I think that's important because I think you don't necessarily have to be a lawyer to have a board of trustees, to have mentors, to have sponsors, and to connect with people who don't necessarily look like you. Because I think that that's very important in terms of your career growth, in terms of your path, and in terms of getting yourself to where you want to be. Which brings me to another point with respect to inspiration. I think a lot of people look up to lawyers you was a lawyer. I'm a lawyer now. And I think that
I made it.
you never know. I made it, Mom. Look, Mom, no hand. But people are looking up to you. They're looking up to us. And one of the things, a good friend of mine from my law firm, he worked at my firm, and he was not an attorney. But one of the things that I used to do, confession time, these are my confessions. When people would all leave and the dinner order would come and I would get my dinner, this is a long time ago, and I would sit in my office. I had a Bose system, and I would play music, a lot of hip hop, a lot of music that, I mean, y'all know me, music is my life. And I was always playing all kinds of music that you cannot play in your law firm. I am jamming on the line. Old stuff, Hall & Oates, blasting. And one of the things that he said when he was complimenting me just on the show and what I'm doing and all that was just, you never know who you're influencing, who's watching you. And we are all, I can say for a fact that all of these women here, these beautiful women here, believe in mentorship and mentoring and networking and all that. So we all give back in so many different ways. But you just never know how many people are watching you, not even necessarily somebody that you can help, somebody in a more junior position. But I've mentored some of my mentors, and it's reciprocal. And so I just want to talk about the positive examples that you're setting for young women of color who aspire to be lawyers, and just people in general who want to be lawyers. And what have you learned from women who've come before you?
To be comfortable being the only. Sometimes you will be the only woman in the room. Sometimes you will be the only black person in the room. Sometimes you will be the only young person in the room. And you have to be comfortable with being the only.
And being able and being open to say something, have your voice,
Yes.
Make sure that you are heard, even though you are the only and they will see us, but being okay speaking up, saying whatever your thought is, even if it comes after someone else, but saying whatever you think and your thoughts is super important, actually.
I think one of the things is, and I tell my daughter this, and I told her that just today, don't dim your light.
Yes.
Don't dim your light. And that can mean a variety of things, but oftentimes if you are a black woman, or if you're successful, or if you're opinionated, and if you're a lawyer, people start arguments with you to see if they can debate you. And I have friends who say to me, why don't you ever engage in that? Because I don't have to prove myself in that way. There's other ways I need to prove myself. But don't dim your light for others who might feel that maybe you're, doing too much, as the kids say, or you're intimidating, because, as I also tell my kids, I do know a lot about a lot. I know a lot of things.
It's true.
Mm-hmm. And as lawyers, that's part of our charge, to know how to solve problems.
Yeah.
And so when people come to you, they do look up to you because they know that what you can do is solve a problem.
Right.
And so at the end of the day, don't dim your light, because if you know the answer, provide it. And if you don't, you know how to find it. And so when people say things like, oh, lawyers think they know everything. Well, I kind of do. And so I never dim my light, even though it might sound a little bit, pompous. But that's what I do. I solve problems for a living. You have a problem, don't ask me if you don't want me to try to solve it.
Right.
So,
And one of the things I think people forget, and I feel this particularly because I don't know about your law school experience, but in my law school experience, I spent 3 hard years bottled up in law school. It was the most grueling academic experience of my life, and people forget that. They think being a lawyer is just easy. I could be a lawyer too. I can count too. 1, 2, 4, 5. Right? No, it's hard work. And so I think people forget, right? Because they see the fancy trips and they see what you drive and they say, girl, your hair looks good. You got that lawyer money. No, but it took a lot to get to where we are. It took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and time, and a whole lot of money. I'm still paying school loans to do what we're doing and to get where we're at. And I think you guys are all beautiful lights. I think you guys are just fantastic women. I love you both as sisters and friends, and I respect you in all of your areas of practice and all that you do in your profession. Not only do you go hard at what you do for yourself, but what I love about you is that you go so hard for other people and give back to the community and all of that. So with that, I want to just, one last question I have is, what are you most looking forward to about next week?
The reunion. The reunion. Like, it's great to, even though we're all in Chicago, life is busy. But when we get together, it's a party. Like, it's a party. Like, we have a very good time. And sometimes it takes us having to go off to a conference to actually focus and be there, be in the moment to enjoy each other. So I'm looking forward to the reunion.
I see friends from everywhere else, not only from Chicago, but the drinks and the food and being able to talk about that.
And the raffles that I never win.
And the recharging. It's
yes.
just, recharging when you are in those rooms and you see all these women, these minority women, hugely black women who are doing it. I mean, they are doing it at every level. I never walk away empty when I go to that particular conference.
Yes.
And I always leave inspired and knowing that there's more I could be doing, should be doing, but also feeling pretty blessed and satisfied at the same time.
Yeah.
There's not very many places where I go and feel both those things at the same time. So
This
that's what I-
conference attracts 800 to 1,000 women of color lawyers, very high, and judges, and incredibly accomplished women. And it is so empowering to be in that room and to see all of that. It really does feed the soul.
It does feed the soul. The
Yeah.
sea of women, black, Latina, white, Asian, everybody. And it's a beautiful sight.
Yep.
It is a beautiful sight. We are going to be in New Orleans next week. I suggest you get your ticket and come through. Meet us at the bar. We're going to have a great time. But seriously, I just want to thank you all. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being my friends. Thank you for being my sister lawyers. Thank you for being you, because we are in this thing. We're in this thing together. But I just think you guys are such beautiful spirits, and I love what we do together. Thank you to all the people who have shared this show. I'm looking at the shares. I'm loving the comments. We're going to go back through them and respond to them. But thank you all so much for sharing. I think these women have they dropped a lot of knowledge that you can take and internalize professionally and personally. So thank you so much for sharing. Next week, we've got a fabulous show. These lovely ladies, we're going to have a panel of men. It's a show called Men to Men, and they're going to be talking about certain things that men don't typically discuss. So you got to stay tuned. You got to tune in on Dana Being Dana when we return. Thank you so much.
Bye.
All right, girls. All right.
We did it.
And we still live. So watch what you say. We're still on Facebook. We still on Facebook.